Hello guys, Jonathan here with a bit of an exciting semi-scoop for you here. In front of me here is, yes, just another AR-15, but it is in fact the Knights Armament KS-1, the very trials rifle that resulted in the L403A1 alternative individual weapon being adopted last year to supplement the SA-80. It is not a replacement for it. That's a different project that one day, hopefully, I'll be talking about. So, why? Well, the British military has a long history with the armour light, as it has long called it. In fact, the solicitation that led to this used the word armour light, but then was very, very loose and said it didn't mind whether it had a external gas piston or not, or the direct impingement system. So, yeah, an interesting quirk of British English that we still use armour light in that sense. The name of the original company where the AR-15 was designed, of course. So the idea here is a continuation of the same idea. Special operations forces, specialist troops who for whatever reason need or maybe want something that isn't an SA-80 got, well, initially an AR-15, Model 01, Model 02, Model 04. Then they got M16A1s, M16A2 variants, carbines, the DeMarco series, especially SAS, SBS. So it's always special forces and then specialist troops or troops going to special areas like the jungle. And so there have always been a few thousand AR-15s knocking around in the British Armed Forces. This solidifies that yet further with a very modern, very high quality AR-15 for a specific group of units. So this was Project Hunter, was its code name. And it was under the Defence Equipment and Support Dismounted Close Combat Team. They were looking into a suitable auxiliary or substitute standard rifle, whatever you want to call it, for troops that needed it. Now, specifically, this was for the new Army Special Operations Brigade, who are loosely equivalent to the US Army Rangers. In fact, the main component of it is the British Ranger Regiment. There's a whole story there. You can go away and look up if you'd like to. But essentially, they're creating a certain tier of special operations forces to provide local training and support to foreign forces. So a role that the SAS traditionally fulfilled, but this would be their primary role, and they would sort of fill a gap, as it were, between conventional forces and Tier 1. And for interoperability reasons, and also being sort of SF adjacent, it made sense to adopt a conventional layout that all sorts of forces use, including an awful lot of special operations forces, i.e. another AR-15. But they wanted a modern setup, so they went for low power variable optic, which this is. So we have a 1 to 10 power, crank it all the way over to the left for 1 power, so that works a bit like a sort of close quarter sight, albeit with a reduced field of view because you've got to look through the tube. And you can crank that up to any point between that and 10 power. So 1 to 10 power optics. So you go from your own designated marksman if you want to be down to CQB, kicking in doors, that kind of thing. Although for that true role, you want this red dot on the top. This is an aim point acro red dot. Mounted on a Reptilia mount. So the optic itself, I think, has still got an experimental name of ELEANOR. I'm not sure what the actual designation of that will be when it's released, but it's a sort of incremental improvement on Vortex's, made by the famous company Vortex, an improvement, an iteration upon their series of low-power variable optics, which I know Special Operations Forces have become quite fond of in some contexts. Otherwise, well, significantly, we have a heavy barrel under this M-LOK handguard here. This is the URX-6 Knights handguard, very, very slim, with just Picatinny rail on the top and then M-LOK slots for any accessories that you want to put on there. So that'll be a light laser module, no doubt. There's an angled grip, comes with the full kit as well, I gather. But that black barrel under that handguard is very heavy, so very, very stiff and accurate. But it's dimpled. It has these dished out surfaces, give it quite a distinctive look, especially the black contrasting against the tan. And so that gives you a lightweight but heavy barrel, relatively heavy barrel. It's a 13.7-inch barrel, and that's to do with the barrel length stipulated, because when you put this suppressor on the end, that brings it just within the required overall length that was needed. The suppressor here is the Knight's QDC MCQ-PRT suppressor. Pretty confusing. Sorry, Knights. And that's normal, believe it or not. It is a quick detach, so quite a short thread to unscrew, and then it comes off, and we have the standard QDC Knight's 4-prong flash hider underneath that, so you can run this without a suppressor, but this is a flow-through type suppressor with a shield on it, a flash shield, and the weapon is designed to be run with that on there. If you can get over that horrific screeching sound, and it ratchets into place and it's on there nice and snug. So there's a very good video from Trey Knight, the son of Reed Knight Jr., who runs KAC, Knight's Armament Corporation, Knight's Armament Company, sorry, explaining a lot of this, so please do go and check that out as well. And he explains this is mainly about flash and thermal suppression. So this shroud here is actually to keep the thermal signature of the weapon down. This is a thermal shroud, because thermal detection on the battlefield is becoming more and more of an issue. So it's some sound suppression, but it's primarily there as a super duper flash hider and thermal mitigator as well. We've got Knight's proprietary gas block up here, which has its own advantages. We have ambidextrous controls, pretty much standard these days. So standard magazine catch on the right, but a bolt catch and hold open mirrored on the right as well, and the safety selector mirrored on the right, which means our standard AR style safety selector, obviously still there on the left, standard bolt and bolt release there, but then our mag release is mirrored on the left. So all controls can be operated from either side of the weapon. The charging handle is the same as ever, but it has double latches, so that's ambidextrous as well. Forward assist is still on there, controversially to some, and you don't get two of those, I'm afraid. We have this take on an Arctic trigger guard, which is bowed. Now you'll see a lot of modern ARs with a bowed trigger guard for gloves or whatever. This is for that, but it also, like the old school AR-15, if you press in the little detent there, rather than folding down against the pistol grip like the traditional AR Arctic trigger, a lot of people don't realise that's what that is, but it's supposed to fold down for Arctic use. This one is removable, so you press the little detent, you pop the whole thing off, and then you presumably immediately lose it. I'm only joking, I hope. But that gives you great access for gloved hands, and it means you're not having to, like, this would be really encumbering to be folded against this, because it's curved, so you wouldn't want to do that. So they made it removable instead. The civilian version that Trey previews has a permanently attached one because it's not needed for that user, I guess. Magpul CTR buttstock off the shelf option. Very good, with a lockout on it to make it nice and robust in whichever position it's in. Everyone knows about that who knows about ARs these days. Magpul Myad, I guess it's pronounced, storage pistol grip. I believe they're coming with Magpul current gen PMags as well. I think they're in the posters and the promo stuff for that. Check out the Armourer's Bench for a nice write-up on the introduction of this thing, by the way, for anything I might be missing. Right, so just quickly, we do need to pop this open because there's one proprietary patented Knight's feature in here. Incidentally, the hammer is pretty unusual on the KS-1 as well. Very thin, to me anyway. I've seen a lot of historic ARs, not too many modern ones. Very narrow and shiny, which is interesting. And we have the auto sear in there, of course, because this is a military weapon. So what I wanted to show you is, so it's a fairly generic M16 type bolt carrier. well made, of course, because Knights are one of the prestige companies like Daniel Defence. The bolt is interesting. So those lugs, the famous multiple lugs designed by Stoner based on Johnson's design, they are curved, they're radiused. And we actually have a 1902 shotgun in our collection, and they're shaped the same way. And my theory has been that the metallurgy of the Edwardian era, Victorian Edwardian era, was such that they had to make them round because they kept cracking, because the metallurgy wasn't very good. And then Knights have independently rediscovered that even with modern metal, a rounded profile is less prone to stress fracture, because you do tend to crack these bolts. Well, either to do with the design of the stem, which we won't get into, or at the lugs. So that's one feature to look for that's a little bit nerdy, but it is in there. But there's a lot of there's a lot that's still Stoner about this, and for good reason. Knight was a friend of Eugene Stoner, worked with him latterly, and the lower on this is still marked, in fact. Remove that. Still marked SR16 for Stoner Rifle 16, and there's the civilian commercial counterpart, the SR15. Stoner and Knight together designed the SR25 7.62 rifle as a designated marksman rifle. That was Stoner sort of coming back into the fold of his original gas system, as it were, and designing a new Stoner rifle. And this is the ultimate. This is really the ultimate Eugene Stoner AR-15 rifle, and it's now trickling into the hands of British soldiers. So as I say, the British Army Ranger Regiment and two elements of the Royal Marines, the strike companies and the surveillance and reconnaissance squadron of the Royal Marines will also be equipped with this. There's also some rumours around SAS, SBS acquiring a variant of this rifle as well. So that's the way UK Special Operations Forces and their support units are going. And these are some of these are like-for-like replacements for DeMarco. Some of them are going to units that didn't previously have them, like the battalions that have formed the new Ranger Regiment. So you will start to see these over the next few years. The buy is 10,000 rifles over 10 years, so that you're not going to see any dramatic replacement of SA-80, other than when you're looking at one of these units and suddenly you'll see these. And they're very recognisable, even compared to some of the other Armalite-based rifles already in service. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that. This series covers everything from, well, in theory, medieval handguns, we'll have to dig one out for you, all the way up to the very latest weapons in military service. And that's what this is. This is a historic, a modern museum piece, as it were. And we're very grateful to the people that have provided this. Thank you very much. So, as always, we have a website, we have social media channels in all the usual places. Specifically, we'd love you to check out History of Weapons and War, which includes not only our content, but a load of content from other providers, some of whom you'll have come across, I'm sure. Well worth checking out if you like this kind of thing. And also, at our website, you can find a link to details on our membership program, where you can get more involved in what goes on here and help support us that way, which we'd also really appreciate. But whatever you do, please come back and join us again next week.